How are you all doing today? I'm honored to be before you all today as your inspirational speaker. The class of 2019 has a special place in my heart, as you all started to judge the same year I did. We've seen each other grow and change and do the work of figuring out just who we are. I'm glad to have had you all as companions on this journey. And AP Research, I'm sorry I lied to you when you asked if I knew who the speaker would be this year. In previous years, inspirational speakers have waxed philosophical on what it means to be inspiring and the cognitive dissonance of having to imagine oneself as inspirational. While all my neuroses and anxieties thought that would be a great topic, I have elected instead to fall back on a tried and true method for me, to tell you all some stories about what inspires me. I have an interest that may surprise some people. I will admit it borders on obsession. But my area of amateur expertise is subtly hinted at through various things, such as the decorations of my classroom, the casual conversations I have after a weekend of movies, and for the eagle-eyed among you, even in my very wardrobe today. Yes, I am deeply interested in superheroes, as you can clearly tell from my cufflinks. I have been into superheroes since I was a child. I remember watching Batman, Spider-Man, and X-Men on Saturday mornings and being entranced by their adventures. Until then, I had been raised on a steady diet of Greek mythology and Arthurian legends, but the heroes of yore eventually run out of new stories. Costumed vigilantes filled the gap for me with their ongoing escapades and convoluted storylines. The first comic book I ever bought, with money earned from only the odd jobs a first grader could do, featured Bane, the Batman villain. But in this book, he did good things in a rough and anti-heroic way. Even at that age, I recognized the beautiful complexity that would come to encapsulate modern superheroes for me. Whether it was my interest in superheroes that led me to be an English major, or my love for literature only amplified my childhood passion, I found a surplus of academic sources on heroes and heroism. Some you might be familiar with, such as Joseph Campbell's monomyth, also called The Hero's Journey. Philosophy, my other academic passion, is also interested in heroism and heroes, such as exploring the understanding of the timeless line from Spider-Man, "With great power comes great responsibility." Some philosophers have even put forth the idea that an action can only be heroic when it goes above and beyond the call of duty and includes danger to the person doing the action, which implies invulnerable heroes are not heroes at all. I have often been asked who my favorite superhero is. I'll be honest that the answer varies day to day depending on how I'm feeling and what books I've been reading. But one always stands out. Norrin Radd, otherwise known as the Silver Surfer. When his world was threatened by Galactus, the devourer of worlds, Norrin Radd offered himself in place of his home. He put the lives and needs of others before his own life, volunteering to serve Galactus as a herald, who would seek out worlds devoid of life in an effort to protect as many as possible. I always admired the compassion that motivated the Silver Surfer and the awe he held for all things in the universe. I think I admired Norrin Radd because my parents were similar. Both of my parents were soldiers, but I want to talk specifically about my mother. Some of you have met her. I think she's pretty neat. She was a nurse in the Army, working to help others and eventually training the next generation of nurses and medics. One story comes to mind in particular. When I was 9 years old, my family went to Tanzania and Kenya in Africa for a safari. It was a vacation with my parents and my grandmother. I had a blast seeing lions and elephants and other animals in their natural habitats. But as we crossed the border from Tanzania to Kenya, a terrorist cell detonated a car bomb outside the US Embassy in Nairobi, the capital of Kenya. We were told the damage was not bad. When we finally got to Nairobi, we realized that was wrong. The blast had blown the bomb-proof doors off the embassy. It had also shattered every window in a one-block radius, and hundreds of people had been wounded by the debris. That night at the hotel, my parents talked quietly while I watched cartoons. I remember it was the original cartoon of the Tick, one of my favorite superheroes. Then they sat down with me and told me that my mother would be staying in Nairobi to help with the cleanup and the wounded. My dad, grandmother, and I would go back to our home in Texas. My grandmother was upset, but I understood. My mom's job was to help people. This was literally what she was trained to do. But when she got back to the US, a week after us, the news got around about what she did. She was interviewed by newspapers. She was given awards by schools and the hospital that she worked at. Everyone called her a hero, but I was confused. She was just my mom doing her job. How did that make her a hero? As I got older as a military child, I saw this idea repeated. Soldiers awarded the Congressional Medal of Honor for valor in combat, the highest award a soldier can receive, said only that they did what anyone else would have done. But is that true? Would any other person have done what they did, saved the lives they saved, and risked their own in the process? Wasn't their specialness or difference what made them heroic? As sad as it makes me, superpowers aren't real. So what metric can we use to define a hero in our society? What behavior makes someone heroic? I have realized that heroism isn't what we think it is. The people who are called heroes never call themselves that. What defines heroism comes from something external to the person called a hero. To paraphrase another comic I love, Six Gun Gorilla, you can only be the hero when you realize the story isn't about you. We are most heroic when we act for others, from a place of compassion. That's what makes Norin Rad a hero to me. It's not his superpowers, but his sacrifice for others. That's why I now see my mom is a hero. She saw the story as about the people who suffered in Nairobi, and she put aside her own concerns to help. And that's what I see in all of you. Not just the class of 2019, but every student, every person in this room. Judge Memorial is a unique school in that you are not only encouraged to be heroic for one another, but you step up to the task willingly and enthusiastically. Because in all you do, the story isn't about you, but those you help. And I'm not just talking about your service work or your community involvement. Sometimes the most heroic thing is moving forward in your life with kindness and compassion and love. Even when you suffer or struggle or stumble, to take the next step and still focus on others in the moment they most need you is heroic. You all, as a student body, face problems I can't even begin to fathom how to deal with. But you make it through all the challenges and trials, and you often do it with a smile on your face and love poured out to all around you. I am humbled by your heroism. There is one specific example of a hero at Judge that I'd like to highlight. Couldn't find him this morning, but Cole, could you please stand or join me? Most everybody here knows Cole. And if you know Cole, you know his enthusiasm, his positivity, and his love for everyone around him. Cole was diagnosed with a brain tumor at the age of 18 months. Since then, he has undergone numerous surgeries, therapies, and still takes powerful medicines. And even though he is cancer-free, he still suffers from these effects, including and most visibly, his seizure activity. It is not only because of the challenges Cole faces that I find him heroic. I admire his persistent compassion for everyone he meets. Cole is a hero because his foundation is love. One day, Cole had a seizure in my class. I will admit I was terrified, but everyone leapt into focused action. They were heroic. We got the rest of the class out of the room to give Cole space, and they moved on to the next period. As Kylie, myself, and Cole's mother waited with him, the first thing he said after his seizure was, "I love you, Mom." Cole can make anyone he talks about feel like the center of the story. The story is never about Cole, and so he is a hero. Thank you, Cole. I want to return briefly to the Silver Surfer. In a special story called Silver Surfer Requiem, Norin Rad discovers he is dying. And in that moment, when perhaps he is most justified to focus on himself, he still chooses to help others. At one point, he asks Spider-Man how to help the world. And Peter Parker, this kid, says, "People can't change what they are unless they understand what they can be." And Peter Parker, a child, shows the Silver Surfer what he can be. And for just a moment, Norin Rad shows every person on Earth what they can be. Now, I am not the Silver Surfer. This cape does not make me a hero. My mother made this cape for me when I finished my teaching degree. She said it was because I was her hero for becoming a teacher. My mother calling me a hero intimidated me. I was still new and unsure and did not see myself that way. But you, the students of Judge Memorial, showed me what I could be. So I became that. Superpowers may not exist, but this is your power. Each and every person in this room can show the world what it can be. Through your humble heroism, through your willingness to listen, through your honest praise, through your boundless enthusiasm, through your persistence to spread love in a world often racked by despair, everyone around you better understands what we are meant to be. It is customary to wish you all luck as the next chapter is about to begin, and you may feel you need it, so I wish you luck. But I also think you have within you everything you'll need. I share this piece of wisdom given to me by a mentor when I graduated from high school, a quotation from the author Priscilla Maurice. Remember that your work comes only moment by moment, and as surely as God calls you to work, He gives you the strength to do it. My final challenge to you is this: rise up to the potential of what you can be. Remind yourself you are not always the center of the story. Help others. Be compassionate and intentional with everyone you meet, and just for a moment, show them what they can be. In all this, you will be heroes. Thank you.